There's two key elements to self-protection. The first is your personal security measures, which keep you switched on, alert, aware, and the ability to recognise pre-threat behaviour before it's manifested itself towards you, so that you could possibly avoid an escape. The best, most productive personal security skill that you have is target denial. Don't be there. And that's only made possible from seeing the potential problem in the first place, identifying the behaviour and depicting it as a potential problem to you and getting yourself extracted from it. This is just being street smart. Good personal security measures in place that will allow you to avoid the majority of potential confrontation. In addition to that, developing confident body language profile. Just confident gait, stand tall, brisk pace, look around frequently. Not walking with 2 rolls of carpet under your arms with a nasty expression on your face, all puffed up. That's not what I mean. I just mean looking alert and aware, comfortable in your own skin as you go about your daily life. Now you're much more likely to spot any potential problem before it's upon you, and you're also possibly representing yourself as somebody who's an alert and switched on individual. If you develop a confident body language profile, you will harden as a target. It won't make it foolproof that you won't be selected, but there's less probability. In terms of understanding how to communicate with people whilst you protect personal space, contact management, understanding the 2 things you want to look for in a potential confrontation is the presence of a weapon or weapons, and there's likely to be more than one subject. If your training does not reflect multiple assailants and weapons, you're not training for reality. So being able to place yourself in a position that's non-aggressive, non-violent looking, that will allow you to possibly determine these things before any event takes place is going to be useful. Good communication skills to de-escalate, talk a potential problem down. Verbal judo, if you like. It's a useful skill, not always possible. Sometimes the environment's too loud, they can't hear. Maybe there's a language barrier. Maybe they've just got an agenda. They ain't fucking interested in what you've got to say. In which case, persuasion can fail, but it's a useful tool nonetheless. Your 2 key options are avoidance and escape. If you can't avoid an escape, then to de-escalate. If those 2 things are not possible, the only thing left is the physical, and in terms of your highest probability of success goes towards being preemptive, as I said before. But personal security measures include awareness, pre-threat cue recognition, situational control, protection of personal space, confident body language profile, learning to verbally dissuade, and trusting your instincts. My instincts tell me to turn left, I'm turning left. So you want to trust them. The other side of the coin, the 2 key elements to self-protection, is of course your combative tools. This is your toolbox. In regards to your toolbox, compressed curriculum, a small amount of tools that are usable preemptively as well as reactively, adhering to principles rather than techniques that prove themselves reliable in a myriad of possible situations. But in UC sense, our main toolbox is impactive. Our primary thing is to strike, to shut down the consciousness. So impactive strikes are our hard skills. So our palm strike, our slap, our hammer fist, our elbow, our knee. We put in an eye blitz also because it's a very efficient means to disrupt vision. But really it's about impactively striking. If you prefer to do that with a closed hand and feel your boots, the lines are going to be the same. You're either hitting somebody straight forward on a linear line, like some kind of angle coming around or some kind of angle coming back. It's just the drill bit you prefer. But impact, to shake the brain, is the primary thing. Our skill sets are very gross motor in nature, therefore much easier to learn and easier to retain under fight duress. They're not fine motor skill and complex. Within this small toolbox, of striking, takedowns, manipulations, we also have secondary tools. Secondary tools would be some kind of restriction or confinement. So you see we're grappling on the ground, confined in a standing space against the wall, sat in a car, whatever. Secondary tools would be still striking from a restriction, maiming weapons such as gouging, biting, ripping, tearing, ballistic manipulation, controlling head control, controlling the limbs, controlling the body ballistically, use of the environment, and any weapon of opportunity. So that might be personal carry weapon of an improvised nature or something you can pick up. These would be our secondary tools for UC, particularly for UK civilian. If you are in the US or you're living somewhere where it's legal to carry a weapon, then unarmed combatives are only employed if you can't get to the weapon, or as a transition until you do, or if your weapon malfunctions or something. Usually that's going to be a less than lethal alternative, such as pepper spray or a taser of some kind. But tactical folding blades and concealed firearms also can be included in that self-protection armoury, if you like. In countries like this where you can carry a weapon, you should have good unarmed skills, but you wouldn't make them primary. But in the UK, we're not allowed any weapon by design or to manifest anything as such, so we are left with our unarmed skills. That's the primary. So these two components, soft skills and hard skills, are what make up any good combative curriculum. In terms of UC, we have a training formula, and within our training formula we prioritise, of course, the understanding about communication, avoidance, escape, spotting things early, and we practice the soft skills in the drill sense. But class is primarily about, we've gathered an understanding of that, and now let's work our hard skills. Let's simulate, let's scenario test, etc., etc. Let's cultivate conditioning, cultivate impact power. 80% of our training formula is done on impactive equipment, such as pads, shields, tyre pads, bags, whatever. Because the motor memory that we want to prioritise is the ability to hit hard. That leaves 20% of our training formula. 10% of that is partner crossover, where we work with a partner to get the feel of what it feels like to manhandle and get manhandled. And we also get accurate target acquisition, and we can get used to going from close quarters to extreme close quarters and back again, manipulating the body. But here, of course, we have to use control. We use speed, and we use aggression and intent, but obviously it's controlled because excessive force is reciprocal, and it's fucking turn in a minute. The final 10% of our training formula allows us to simulate or scenario train. In terms of that, we require protective equipment. Your training here is limited to the equipment that you have. The primary areas that you need to fully protect are the head and the groin. There's various amount of helmets on the market that may allow light contact, but nothing really that will allow full contact. We've seen examples of how we've manifested our own, made out of American football helmets or anti-German riot helmets, but German anti-riot helmets. But the helmets that we've made are not commercially available. In terms of good head protection, maybe some body armour, some good groin protection. Now the subject will be given MMA gloves. With MMA gloves, he can now, during a simulation or a scenario, he can strike, he can grab, he can pick up a weapon, he can do a myriad of things. In terms of simulation and scenario training, we take preemption out of the equation because it would be relatively too simple. If it's a multiple situation, then yes, you would still preempt, but at some point, the whole point of the simulation is to see how you react under stress that's spontaneous and an unannounced assault. So we take away preemption, and now you have to deal with what the subject's doing to you. We escalate this to various levels, change the scenario setting, etc., etc., and add additional factors of stress. Once you simulate scenario training, you are replicating as far as you can safely towards a live event. This will elicit an emotional response. So the final 10% of our training formula allows us to work again with partner crossover, but with impactive kit, so that we get the best of both worlds in terms of dealing with a live dynamic moving target and having the ability to hit it. This is the UC training formula. Anybody that trains in combatives should really, ideally, train all of these areas, in which case I would say join a good class with a reputable instructor, possibly find good instructors for private one-on-one tuition and solo training. So if you can't find a good class, then get a group of like-minded people together. That's the way most good combative things started. You know, in somebody's garage, 4 or 5 like-minded guys pad up and let's see if this fucking works. But if you adhere to the training formula and you understand what the components of a self-protection and combative curriculum are made up of, then also stay on the cutting edge of how things are situationally. Environments change, the potential enemy changes. Stay on the cutting edge of that. Bottom line is, if you're not training for weapons and you're not training for multiples, you're not training for reality. And if you really want to know how your training is going to stand up, you've got to simulate. Peace.